these 5 weeks taught you? What did you enjoy working on? What was difficult for you? Did you accomplish what you came here to accomplish? If you remember what it was you said your goals were for the 5 weeks, because we'll be doing that next week with everybody who's joining the next session, and asking you what do you want your goals to be? So this is the class where we talk about whether or not we accomplished our goals and what you might want to work on in the future. Who would like to go first?
My goals were not be afraid to suck, and you told me don't even think that because I was going to be thinking the character's thoughts. So basically not get in my own way because I was afraid to fail at something new. And you told me I wasn't going to have to worry about that, and you were right. Because I just found, I missed this word earlier, but in actually being able to to actually act with a partner, not just read about it. I found there was just so much freedom. You don't even have to be afraid to fail, because if you don't like something, you just change your thought. You don't like the way it came out or whatever. You change your thought. It changes the way that you feel. So it's going to change what you're saying with your face or what you're saying with your words, how it's coming out. And so I found a lot of freedom in that. And I really forgot about the way that I felt in the first class because it didn't really matter anymore. So I do feel like I achieved my goal because I'm still here. So, and I learned so much.
Excellent. I love that. I love the way you do. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
All that matters is what my character's thinking. So all I got to do is change what my character's thinking, and the whole problem's taken care of.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, so I think I said my original goal was that I wanted to make sure that all of my thoughts were reactionary towards my scene partner instead of just kind of being in my own head thinking about what I want the line to mean with my thoughts. And I do feel like I was able to do that a lot more this session. I think I also really realized the importance of making sure your objective is being fulfilled in every tactic and every line, and just how your thoughts, while they're reactionary, it also has to make sense with your objective.
Yes, very good. And I really saw that today. Yay. Your performance today was so much more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But you were still making lots of changes. It wasn't like it was all the same or anything, but it was consistently going for what you wanted.
Yeah, I felt that way for sure, because before it just felt weird, there were different me's in the scene that didn't mesh together.
Right. And I think that that really worked. It really worked today. What do you have to say about that, Felicia?
I think this month has really helped me also work on consistency and really using my character's situation in history and using that to figure out how she thinks and what thoughts I'm thinking. And I mean, I've talked about this 3 times now, but really thinking your thoughts as if you're speaking, that just changed so much for me today for the final performance. And I remember my first goal actually for this class was kind of to pick up the pace in terms of kind of getting out of this rut I've kind of been in. And I think this session, because at school we've been talking a lot about university and careers and all that, and I was kind of starting to doubt, is this something I really want to put all my time in and I want to really commit to? But this session has shown me that yes, this is something I want to commit to. This is what I love more than everything else I've tried to commit to or tried to imagine myself in the future.
I really wanted to try to do a character that was a bit more different from what I've been doing so far. And this one's very different. She's a bit more evil and conniving and a lot of fun. But it was a challenge in the beginning, just trying to find her and understand how she thinks. So yeah, that was just kind of it was a difficult one, I think, to get the hang of this time around, but it was a good challenge. I really, really enjoyed it. and I had a lot of fun working with Jer. We met up a lot, and we practiced a lot. We tried a lot of different things, and kind of going off of our lines and talking like about our subtext a lot, and kind of tweaking things as we went to try and make it better. And we really tried to help each other understand our characters. And yeah, I think it worked really well. So I'm happy.
Good, good. Yeah, I was really proud of you guys because you tackled these roles that neither of you particularly related to as far as your types were concerned. Jerry, you want to talk about that?
It's so funny because like before I started the class, I was like, I want to do a role where I'm not like a cis woman, and then I was like, I'm gonna be Stephanie.
Yeah. That was totally the opposite. I'm going, oh, she really changed her mind.
yeah. I was like, yeah. And I think that was the hardest thing to like wrap my brain around, was like, how do you be this person without making it seem as if it's like a pale imitation, you know, like, and yeah, I think that was the hardest thing, but I think we did a really good job in finding them. We did a lot of work, and having like Siobhan said, like having conversations as them and trying to figure out who they are. And then yeah, I had a lot of fun working with Siobhan and going through all of the subtext. That's my favorite part about working with a scene partner, is having somebody who's just as invested in the work that you're doing and in the story and in the characters and their relationship and purpose.
Yeah, it's so great. And you're because you're both in the same class, you're both having the same guidance from the same teacher. It really helps. Sometimes when you're on set and you're working with a scene partner, they just have a completely different language than you have, but you guys have the same technique. So it makes it so much fun to work with somebody that you can actually talk to and say, yeah, but this, and oh, but are we doing this? And that it's the same, you speak the same language. And that's fantastic. You guys did a great job.
My goals at the beginning of the class was to be a sponge, to learn as much as possible, and to have fun with it. And I feel like those two goals were definitely accomplished. I always get, like, this is something we've talked about, like, just like as the class, about like, I get nervous about the question, like, what have you learned? Because there's just the answer is like limitless. Like, I could go on to say like, I've learned this and this and that. And it's so hard to pinpoint what, but I honestly do feel like I learned so much in this class, and I've had so much fun working with Allison. She was such a great scene partner. So, but I've had so much fun working with her this entire class.
So you should watch this, because if you go back and look at your very first one and you look at this one, you're going to see such a difference. And now it's a huge improvement. Yeah,
it's that perfection battle. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of people in here that know what I'm saying, but yeah, that's my own battle.
Well, yeah. Well, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, because you can only progress one step at a time. Yes, and you can't expect yourself to be, an Oscar winner after your first class.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Come on.
But you're getting closer to being an Oscar winner. You are. Yeah, you are. And I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Allison, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, Precious. I think you did great. It was super fun working with Precious too. We did a lot of fun meeting up. We met up a lot. But so for myself, my goal going into this was to just continue working on having those constant thoughts going and totally being in my character's head. And then I ended up playing a character totally different to myself, which I wasn't like totally expecting, but I loved it. And I think it was really good for me to be able to go outside of that and outside of like that comfort zone. And it took me a while to kind of find her, but I feel like towards the end, I started to actually get into her and like her humor and her, like the way she reacts and everything, and just her thoughts. And so, yeah, that was really fun to be able to do that.
It really is about the thoughts, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But you have to, you really need to know your character so well in order to know how they think. Like you said, what does she think is funny? Or how does she feel about this particular situation? You got to know your character, really deeply know your character, so that you can just let them go and just do what they do, think what they think, react how they react. So it's that whole exploration of who your character is that gets you ready to be free, right?
Yes, totally.
Just to be free in the moment.
Absolutely.
Hi. So this was my first time doing comedy. So it was really a learning experience, I think, for both of us. Like learning how to tease and make her laugh, which it's such a different skill from the dramatic scenes. So that was really fun, and I'm excited to do more of it. And I think my goal from the beginning was about reactions and making them more immediate. And I think that I am improving on that.
Yes, you are.
Somewhat.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Over the past 5 weeks, I've been so like insanely nervous in like each class, and even in the rehearsals and stuff. It's like mad. So I've been slowly like learning how to. I'm nervous now. Slowly like learning how to try and just get over that. Because in real life, I'm not a serious person at all. I'm always making jokes. I'm just not serious. So it's like every time I do a scene, I sort of go towards more serious scenes because if I'm feeling nervous, I can be like serious. So it's like a really good learning experience for like how to just like try and be forced to jump out of that area. So
the most important thing when you're a nervous person is to do what makes you nervous a lot. You should just throw yourself into that exercise, doing what you're afraid of over and over and over and over and over again. It takes away the fear. It takes it all away so that it becomes just a normal thing that you do. So that's what you got to do. Just do it, do it some more. Yeah, you're coming around there. I was really seeing a little comedy happen today, so I'm happy about that.
I think one thing that I really learned this session was that it's not so black and white, like giving the other character what they want or not getting what you want. That I had to start to understand Lisa's character as well as my own in order to see whether or not I was giving her what she wanted. And what I realized was that even though in my character's mind I am giving her what she wants, I am being sympathetic to her cause, in her mind it's never going to be enough for me.
And your character is not thinking about not giving the other character what they want. Your character is thinking about wanting to do what they want. It's about their desire. Okay, so what your character wants is to make this negative person more positive.
And it wasn't so much that I was thinking about not giving her what she wanted. It was just that in the back of my mind, I always know that if she's still talking, she's not getting what she wants. And therefore, I, in my thoughts, have to not be giving her what she wants. But I thought that meant that I had to oppose her in this, like, disagree with her. Which I am disagreeing with her, but I'm disagreeing with her in a cheerful way, more so than like, oh, you're being too harsh, like she's not so bad. It was more about like, oh, cheer up, like it's not so bad. She really does respect you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I wanted to work on continuing like my thought through line throughout a scene. And I think I definitely have at least learned to get there, because I think a lot of us have spoken about like, oh, our head, like it's really such a concentration exercise. Like my head hurts at the end of whenever I do it my best. I feel like my head always kind of feels a little tingly or something, like to kind of just be in here but not mine, in someone else's. And whenever you can feel yourself being someone else, it's cool. And so that was my goal for the class, to learn how to switch it on and off. And it's not completely there yet, but now I know how to get myself there.
To experience that spontaneous flow of character thoughts that are in reaction to what's happening moment by moment by moment. That's the magic. That's the magic where you really start to feel like, I'm not myself anymore. I'm somebody else. And it's super, super cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad you're starting to feel it because it's so cool. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
like a spider almost, like it's tingly.
I'm going into another dimension.
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge in learning for me over the past 5 weeks, which became more apparent recently, is not falling in the trap of thinking your actor's thoughts and anticipating what's about to happen next, because you've done this scene so many times now that your brain almost knows what's going to happen. Like, I noticed that when I start a scene rehearsal with Salinas, in the first line, I'm already like imagining what's happening at the end when she's unbuttoning, because like I've done it so many times, right? So I think going forward, I want to keep working on really thinking those characters' thoughts, like everybody said, being the character, being in the moment, not thinking about the next line, but just paying attention to what the other person is saying and letting that affect you and letting that trigger your reactions and your next line. I think that when you do that well, then you get into this kind of, state where you're actually becoming that person. And I did feel those moments at times, but I think that my brain just has a tendency to kind of get distracted, and I'm always thinking about, oh yeah, she's about to say this now. So and once this became a thing, I noticed that I thought about it even more. So that's something that I just have to continue to work on. Yeah.
Continue to work on it.
Yeah.
It's about thinking your character's thoughts, and your character is thinking, what are you going to say next? Okay, how are you going to react to this?
Right.
Your character doesn't know, and so therefore your thoughts are in unknowing, right? Answer me. Why don't you answer me? Those are the kind of thoughts that will keep you from thinking, I know what you're going to say next.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. If you keep your head full of your character's thoughts every consecutive moment, when you're talking, you're thinking about what your words mean and how you want to use them on the other person. When you're listening, you're thinking about what their words mean and how they make you feel and how you react to them, and what you think you might be able to say back to her in opposition to what she's saying, right?
Right.
So
right.
so if you keep that going constantly, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, you don't have time for your own thoughts to creep in there.
Yeah.
It's about keeping your brain full.
I absolutely agree. It's easier said than done, that's for sure, but something to practice. And I just think that acting is so fascinating and kind of ironic, because you spend all this time studying the character, analyzing the script, doing the written work, and memorizing. But once you're actually acting, you have to unlearn everything. You just gotta.
Well, it's all there for you to draw from. It's all necessary. It's all necessary, because otherwise you couldn't say anything. You wouldn't be able to do anything. There are all those things that you need to be able to draw from when you're in the moment of your character. Whatever it is that he's dealing with in that moment, that you get to draw it from your bag of tricks, right? You got all this stuff that you packed up so that you can use it when you need it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My goal was to focus on the objective. And I think I accomplished that by focusing on the obstacle, actually, because you gave me a really good note to think about, like, I want him, but I can't. And then I feel like focusing on that throughout the entire scene really allowed me to kind of like go for what I wanted to. I don't know, like it just kind of like created that focus for this scene. And it allowed me to think more of my character's thoughts. But like, just as you say, Winnie, like you need to know a lot about your character in order to think those thoughts fully. Like you have to keep your brain full. So I think that was something that I struggled with this piece specifically. Yeah, it was that note that helped me when you said like really go for that. And when I focused on it, I think that's what helped.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
I think my original was to be more vulnerable and be in the person more. And I think that happened, but it didn't happen without Caesar actually pushing us farther. Like, I think I hit a plateau and I was kind of like, this is where it's at. And then he was just like, no, we need to do this. We need to, and push me past to dig in deeper, which I think gave a better, I hopeful performance.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was great. Caesar, how did you push him? How did you push Randy? I want to hear about that. What did you do to Randy? What did you do to my Randy?
I mean, I don't know. I just said no. I mean, we would do the scenes, and I was always telling him like, how do you feel about it? And then if I heard like, if I just hear like, it was all right. I like, yeah. Then there's something that we gotta do, because you can't just be like, it was all right. It has to be good. I don't know. I just have a bigger expectation. Yeah.
He had us dig in deeper, and I thought I had gone through and did all the written work, and then I hadn't thought about certain things. Like, I thought I had the relationship figured out, and he's like, well, let's talk about that some more. And then it went deeper into that, and like, oh, okay, that things started coming up through taking the work farther than I had previously.
That's fantastic, Caesar, because Caesar's pretty much of a beginner. He's been here a couple of classes, but the fact that you guys can support each other in this way and really help each other and push each other to get better and better, it's such a priceless situation to be in here.
It's like the old proverb or whatever, where they talk about having beginner's mind. Like, the beginner is always open to everything. And somebody who's done it forever, not that I've done it forever, but who's done it for a while, can get blinders and isolated into, well, this is how I do it, and this is what I've always done, and that's just the way we do it. So when you get somebody who's not in those tracks and in those trenches, they can be like, but what about all this over here and over there? And that's kind of the opening.
And I've really seen you start to really get rid of some of your Randyisms. Not, I mean, in a very good way. I mean, those the nervous things that you used to do. You used to have these little, like when you close your eyes, or you would do these little things that were not really part of your character. They were sort of little breaks,
right,
in your character.
Like that one just there.
But you're really starting to get so much more consistent, where you're just letting one thought lead to the next, lead to the next, lead to what you say. And I'm very impressed with that. That's really great.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else you want to say, Caesar?
Well, this session, because like previous ons, I didn't really like put too much work. I didn't dedicate, and then I told myself this session, like, I gotta make this like worth the time. So I've noticed like these whole 5 weeks, I've put more time into the craft, more time into like breaking down like who are the characters, like put more hours into the acting in the previous.
That's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
The more time and effort that you can put into it, the more you're going to grow. That's just the truth of it. That's just what it is. So if you're really serious, you're going to make the time. You're going to make the time. And it's your very first acting class ever. Is this the first acting class you've ever taken?
Yes. I don't really remember what my goal is, but I think I just wanted to learn anything I possibly could. And I think I definitely improved a lot from the first week, because when me and Brittany were talking about it, we were saying like, I can't even recognize ourselves from one of our first sessions where we were just like robotic and reading off things. I definitely think I improved a lot, and I could definitely improve more. But yeah.
It's a lifetime endeavor. It's not anything you ever stop, because as soon as you stop, then it all freezes up,
Mm-hmm.
The brain can't do everything that it does. If you stop, it just stops working that way.
Yeah.
So don't ever think that you're going to master it Well, I've learned it all. I had 5 classes. I'm done. You know, it doesn't really work like that because it's like me during this pandemic. I stopped going to Pilates because I couldn't go to Pilates because it was a very closed aired thing, you know, and I'm going to be a mess when I go back there. It's you can't stop. My body's a wreck. And I think that's one of the reasons why I broke my shoulder, because I don't have the control over my body that I used to have. Mm-hmm. And in acting, it's the very same thing. You don't have the control over your brain unless you do it on a regular basis. So you're going to be better in class if you do it 3 times during the week when you're practicing with your partner, right? Yeah. Because your brain has been doing all that stuff that it has to do. Mm-hmm. And you can't take a month off without working, right? Mm-hmm. You got to keep doing it.
Hi there. What I learned from my class and what my expectations were, I wanted to take on a role that was a bit more challenging, especially outside of my norm. Typically, I'll play more dramatic roles or sometimes even some action roles. So doing a comedy was a bit out of my wheelhouse, and I enjoyed it. Definitely.
Good. Have you done a lot of acting classes? This is your first one here, right?
Yeah, this is my first acting class here. Yep. Most of my training has been with the Meisner method. I did, a couple years of that, a lot of improv experience, and then some theater and commercial work. And right now I'm doing voiceovers. So a little bit all over the place, but I wanted to really try something different. And I think I got that.
Good.
My goal for this, my goal for every class that we're always in is just trying to become better. I think for this, when we first started off, I think my real goal was just, being more connected, being more in tune with the person that I'm talking to. Because I noticed that with me, sometimes I'll not overthink, but really try to think about what I'm thinking about, and it kind of takes me away from my scene partner and what the person is feeding me.
Yeah. And what you're always thinking about is your scene partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're the most important person in the entire scene.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that I really wanted to work on. And I think with this class and, having this kind of lighthearted scene where it can be fun and funny and not as serious as other stuff I've done, it made it feel, a little bit more freeing to, do some things outside of the box, especially when we was rehearsing, just throw things at the wall and see what kind of sticks, and really trying to go at it. Even Godwin, even some of the stuff he was doing during rehearsal was just my goodness, but it gives it that energy. We can kind of go back and forth, and I think really focusing on what he was saying to make me able to react, it helped out a lot. And really listening to what he was saying.
The last couple takes that you did were so good because you really were reacting. Mm-hmm. It was true reaction, and you weren't confining yourself in your reaction. You were just letting it go and doing it. So
yeah, that's when I wanted to really make sure I experiment as much as possible.
Yeah, good. Well, it really worked. It really had a great effect. Good job.
Winnie, you have done wonders for me in unlocking my mind. I have to thank you for that. And my goal for this class had to be speaking with purpose, speaking as character and speaking with focus. So I didn't want to just leave it at just thinking thoughts. I wanted to have intention behind the words I was saying to trigger trends, to get that reaction out of him, to make sure that, look, even if there was nothing happening with Trey, I'll be I'll take that as, all right, you know what? I gotta say something to make it so I can feel something from you. And, just seeing that happen to him, and then he'll start saying something to trigger me when I feel listless. And I'm seeing that, I'm seeing that reaction from Trey, and it just made it so much easier for me to stay as Johnny. And I was just I felt that getting accomplished every time we did it. Every time I see the guy Trey just evolve, and just like, do that. It just made me keep going. And it's just like, I'm thinking just the tennis match analogy that you always talked about. It's like going back and forth. And it's like, all right, I got you with this one. All right, that's the next one. All right, it's just a whole bunch of energy, And the funniest thing about this whole piece that I thought was very interesting was the fact that I didn't think this was funny. I knew that it was supposed to be a funny piece, but it just didn't seem funny because of what you told me. Like, okay, we got to get this guy out of here. It was just like, okay, I didn't really want to make him laugh or anything laugh. It was just
right. No, that's not what comedy's about. Comedy is about painful truth. Okay, that's what makes people laugh. You're right. It's the contrast between the guy who doesn't want anybody to be killed and the guy that's going, I understand, I got it, no problem, right? I'll take care of it for you. No, so that's what makes people laugh, of a person being vulnerable in a situation that they have no control over and someone else misunderstanding them. That's what makes for comedy. If you're trying to be funny in a comedy scene, it's never going to be funny.
I hear that.
Comedy is painful truth. There's something that's happening that's making them look stupid when they're trying so hard to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're not telling jokes here. It's not jokes. It's a little bit different when we're doing like sitcoms where it's set up jokes, set up laugh, the canned laughter and all that.
I will say that another thing, and let me just say that before I leave. I'll say that watching movies is absolutely so different now. I can't watch movies the same thing. It's like I'm seeing like, oh, what kind of reaction was that, man? No, I'm not feeling it. It's just like, seeing how they do it and learning from them now. It really does open my eyes though. So it's like every time I'm watching something, it's like a learning experience. I'm like taking pieces from them more than I was noticing before. I'm noticing a lot more now. So it's just like it's fun. I gotta say that. Shout out to Trey.
You see people thinking, don't you? You see what they're thinking, and you can see that everybody can see what you're thinking. That's what acting is all about, is that just thinking, because everybody can see it. Everybody can see what you're thinking. And that's what makes your character who he is.
That's facts.
That's
facts.
But just to connect more authentically to the emotional experience of the character in the scene. And I think both of the scenes that Michael and I worked on this session were really good avenues for practicing that. And I think the way that I was successful in being able to get closer to that by focusing on objectives and keeping the thoughts rolling and just focusing on the character and the relationship. And kind of like some other people have been saying, not getting too much in my head about it, but just making sure that we've done all of the prep work and all of, not all of the exploration, because there's like infinite exploration that, we can do, but like just getting that foundation really solid so that then you can sort of like play with different tactics and focus on being in the moment.
The more you prepare, the more free you can be later on. Mm-hmm. Just to let yourself be your character, because your character so well that your character, he or she, can just do what they do. They can do what they do because you know them so well. You can allow them to interact and to react and all that kind of stuff. So it's all important. It's just that people do all of this work and they'll do all this background and they do their bios and all that kind of stuff, and then they try to think of it all while they're acting. And that's never going to work. You don't need it all at once. You just take it out as you need them. You know how to react because you know it. And isn't that the same way we are in real life? We don't think about every moment of our life when we're interacting with someone, but when somebody triggers something in us, then all of a sudden we're remembering what our mother did to us when we were 4, because it just comes up.
Yeah. So doing all that work was really, it's worth it. I think it's worth it every time.
It's worth it every time. It really is.
So coming into this, I think I was, I just wanted to go deeper into the piece, and it was more of a general kind of goal. And going through the process, I think, especially, with the scene where you don't say a lot, it's like, it's just less, I guess, things that you can work with tangibly. And the rest of the work is on the other side of that you don't see, which is, interesting because, normally you have a good amount of stuff that you're saying or doing where you don't feel like it's empty. So I think the challenge was filling up that emptiness. So there's something there. And I feel like in this scene, it's very dependent on the characters themselves versus what they're saying. And that was a big aspect of what I felt like was something I had to bring to the table to compensate for, not saying that much.
Yeah. The thing is, you're always going to have big spaces, as an actor. You are always going to, if you're in a whole movie, you're not talking the whole time, right? So you need to know what to do. You need to fill it because you're always talking as your character, even when you're alone. Because in your mind, your character is thinking, what's that I see on the ground? Or, God, I'm hungry. Or your character's always thinking something, aren't they? So being able to think as your character nonstop is what keeps your character alive. Okay. You don't need lines. People have won Oscars without any lines to say. The piano, I think, that she didn't talk at all in that one. And The Miracle Worker, which is the story of Helen Keller, she doesn't say anything in the whole movie except wah wah at the end, and she won an Oscar, and she was, I think she was 15 or 16 when she did it. And it's a magnificent performance. And you can see, what does a blind, deaf person think? Their thoughts have to be so differently formed, don't they? Because they don't know words. They know sensations. And so you would have to think in sensations to play Helen Keller. Right? Does everybody know who Helen Keller was? She was kind of turn of the century. She was a deaf, blind person who then became a great writer and teacher and personality. So you don't need to speak to act. You just need to bring your character to life from the inside out.
It's been really awesome to watch you guys over the last 5 weeks coming in, and I love the first class and finding out who's going to be partnered up and what scenes you guys are going to go with and what your goals are and what your mission is as we set out to work on these over the next couple of weeks, and then seeing the growth. And I feel like being able to sit back and just focus and watch you guys, it's really awesome to watch that growth take place, and you can see those little aha moments each week as we're moving along. So thank you guys for letting me sit in class and watch you guys work and learn, and it's been really awesome, and you all did an amazing job.
Lots of love to you all, and I hope that you hook up with a scene partner that you really want to work with next time. You pick out great scenes for yourself. Last session, the 8 o'clock class, were almost completely already rehearsed for the first day of acting class. They had already picked their partners, they had already picked their scenes, and they were ready to do their scene. So it's up to you, how much preparation you want. If you want to come to class without a partner and without a scene, that's fine too, and I can help you. But, we have this week, if you're going to be taking class next session, to do with your time so that we can make that first class really, really count. Well, I just want to tell you all how proud I am of your work. You are all magnificent. I see you all as movie stars in my mind, and I believe in you 100%. And I'm so very proud of your accomplishments and of your hard work.